Hello, this is Jess with her Mood Mentor, and today I'm meeting with one of my PMDD rehab students and one-to-one clients, Alexandra. Alexandra, it's great to see you.
Hi, good to see you too.
I'm so excited to have you here. You're going to be sharing your PMDD story with us, and I'm so excited to share this story. It's such an inspiring story, so thank you for being here.
Of course, I'm very happy to share my experience and hopefully give hope to other people who are struggling with this. So, very excited to be here.
Yay. Well, let's start from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your experience with PMD, the symptoms you were having, and how those symptoms were impacting your life.
Yeah, so I think I've always struggled with my hormones from an early age. And there wasn't a lot of talk of PMDD when I was 16. It was just I had like these big mood swings. People were trying to diagnose me as bipolar, all different kinds of things. Um, you know, when I was younger, and it kind of felt like I tried all the traditional, um, you know, remedies, like going to the gynecologist, and they would put me on SSRIs or birth control, and I did that pretty much through my 20s. I'm now 37. And I found you because I was like at my wit's end with everything. Um, at, at that point, so that was about a year ago, right? And correct me if I'm wrong on that date, but I was like, it was the worst that it had ever been. I was super stressed at work. I was not sleeping. I felt like I was having like these weird hot flashes. I was moody, I was emotional, and it had just hit like an all-time high for me. And I think the biggest thing was my sleep was disrupted. I was having these weird hot flashes, and the mood swings were just so intense that they were really interfering with my life and my relationships. And I had been to one doctor after another, like desperate for something to make me feel better. And like it was so bad that I just like couldn't. I didn't know how I was going to keep going through everything. So I was just desperate because it had just gotten to a point I'm like, I can't keep all these balls in the air. And no one had answers. I mean, I went to um, an endocrinologist. I went to everyone, and I was just at my wit's end. But that's when I kind of, I stumbled across your account, and it was resonating so much, and I was like, I have to do this. So sorry, I have the tissues already ready. So
I love it. I love it.
yeah,
Not that we're crying, but the reason that will cry, probably both of us, is because your story has changed
yeah,
and it's so inspiring. But we really do have to, it's so important to share the intensity of the suffering that comes along with this because we both know that we thought like this is just how it is, this is how it's always going to be, and it's really living a half-life. There's no quality of life when you're dealing with severe psychological and physical symptoms every 2 weeks.
100%. Yeah.
So, kind of trying everything that you could get your hands on and not getting the results that you wanted, was that the what kind of led you into being like, okay, fine, I'm going to take this approach with a practitioner I have not yet met?
Yeah, like I said, I've been to so many gynecologists, so many primary care doctors, endocrinologists, a homeopathic doctor. I was just not getting any answers. And I needed someone who was, and also it's just hard to you're so desperate, but at the same time, life is happening. And, these doctors don't say, like, hey, let me check in with you regularly about this. Like, we're going to find a plan. They're like, here are your options, and that's it. And when you've tried those options and they've gotten you nowhere, it's just the most, like, you just feel so hopeless. So to find a program that was, we're going to track everything, we're going to meet regularly, we're going to have a game plan, like, I needed that to also keep me on track and to just consistently prioritize finding an answer. So I was seeing the content and I was like, I need to try this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, after trying everything you tried before we met and then moving into the process that we guide you through here, what did you start to notice changing through the approach that we took?
Well, first of all, like hope. because you like really care and like you really make me like you. I mean, I felt like I had someone finally in my corner who understood and wasn't just trying to slap SSRIs on me or these things that hadn't worked, and someone who was really listening. Um, so you're moving through it and you're breaking down things that maybe you haven't even thought about and that you might not realize have an impact on it. So for me, it was really like the tracking and talking with you and like trying different things, not working. Some things still didn't work, and then making connections together because sometimes you have too much going on in your life and you really need someone who, like, with a fresh pair of eyes, is looking at everything for you and finding things that you're missing. Um, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was great. So it was really a totally different approach that we took together, and you had someone there with you alongside you, kind of doing it with you rather than just saying, here's what you're going to do. We work very collaboratively. I try to preface when I sign on new clients, like, this is going to be different than anything you've done before. We're going to be walking side by side. I'm going to be playing a different role than you've probably encountered.
Yep.
As we started to make those changes and map your symptoms and build out the protocols, what started changing as far as the symptoms go?
So it was really, it was really the connection when we made between my blood sugar regulation and like stabilizing my moods and also the supplements to treat like specific things. Like for me, it was really sleep. So when I started incorporating like the magnesium that you recommend at the dose you recommend, like no one had recommended that to me before. No one had recommended magnesium at all for sleep. I can't believe that I went to like multiple practitioners saying I can't sleep. They're giving me like weird drugs to take, but no one as simple as you need more magnesium. Like this is definitely something that women lack when, do their menstrual cycle and whatnot. So incorporating the magnesium was a game changer for me. It really started to help me sleep. When my sleep improved, my mood improved. But when we started regulating the blood sugar, my mood improved so much so that like the other things that you're being thrown at, like you should do yoga more, you should meditate. Like I couldn't do those things. I was too stressed. So
Mhm.
once I got better sleep, I could start tackling on more suggestions. I just kept like slowly piling on instead of trying to do everything at once. Not piling on, but you know what I mean. So the sleep got better, the moods got better, and just realizing as something as simple as more magnesium and consistently eating, it was a game changer. I know it sounds so simple, but like it literally changed my life. And no one could make that connection that one, I was really suffering from, like the sleep was the biggest thing. I couldn't do anything else until I got the sleep under control. Um, and then from there, it made it so much easier to add different modalities to help and like kind of tinker with where I needed to be happy and to be my fullest version of myself. Like it was like, I can't emphasize enough, it was incredible. Like it was incredible to figure out these two things are what I needed to do to just get out from such a dark place after years and years of suffering. Like it was just incredible.
Yeah, to have some actionable things and then to try things and finally see results. Because when we started, how many days of symptoms? And I found your notes from our sessions, and it was a year. It was October. Our first session was October 26th of
Yep.
2023. So it has been about exactly a year. And let me see if I have this written down on here.
I mean, I was having symptoms. It had gotten out of control. It was, I mean, you can tell me the exact number, but it was getting like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, like where I was just feeling symptoms all the time.
Yeah, I have 2+ weeks
Yeah,
down.
I'm telling you, I'm down to maybe like the day before my period, I'm like, everything's annoying me. And I'm like, oh, and then literally the next day I wake up and it's like, yep, I started bleeding. Like it's
Hmm.
been so much more manageable. It's gone down significantly for me, like night and day.
Weeks. Like we're talking
Yeah. Like
reduced symptoms for
it,
2 weeks probably.
yeah, like you get so much back of your life that you don't like it was just all consuming.
Hmm.
And like completely night and day experience. It's incredible. I'm going to say that word a lot because it really is.
Well, it's so exciting to see the long-term effects. Because we do a lot of these story shares and we a lot of times do them like a month, 2 months after the session. But sometimes clients, they're feeling so good, they just want to live their lives for a while and then they come back to tell their story. And this is actually the second time this week that this has happened. I have a UK client who came back to tell her story after a year, and that's more rare, but it is juicier in a way for me because I'm like, oh, what we did, it didn't just improve that year of your life. We're
Yeah.
now seeing like the long-term effects. And so I would love to for you to speak to that because you have a voice in this because you've been practicing these protocols for so long
Yeah.
now. How has your life changed in this last year as you've reduced those symptoms?
Well, I think like for me, I'm definitely someone who struggles with keeping up with habits. And these were such manageable habits that like I can keep doing it. You're not like upending your, like, you're not changing everything about your life, right? Like you're making these small, manageable changes that you can, like, as someone who like picks up an exercise class and drops it all the time, like, there are small, manageable changes that like keep you feeling good for the long time, like for the, this is like the long, like the long journey. I don't know how to like what other phrase to use at the moment, but like it's a long-term solution. That's what I was looking for. And life is life. I will drop off from things. Like I will get bad about eating consistently, and then I'll be like, oh, I know I have to go back to this. And it's these manageable changes. So a year out, like from then I was like so depressed. I didn't know if like I could keep like I'm like not to be dramatic, but it was that bad. I mean, I'm not being dramatic. It was that bad. To being like, I have such great friendships. Like I'm in a better place with my family who I struggled with. Like I have a better like outlook on my job, which I like at that time was like, I can't keep, I hate my job. Like, no, like it was just, I was struggling to manage all these things. Like I have a better outlook on my job. And it's something that I've kept up. Um, and I feel good. This isn't just like a high of doing something for a couple months and then it goes away. This is like a long-term solution to something that plagued me my whole life. Um, and it's incredible. Like if I, this week, I'm gonna have my period and I noticed my sleep. Like I noticed that I was having trouble staying asleep. So I was like, I was like, I've stopped taking my magnesium regularly. So I went back to this, like such a simple ad. I started sleeping better. You know what I mean? Like it's been like a long-term thing that you can keep doing that's manageable. It's not a whole, you can't, something, it's just so practical, like it's easy to keep doing.
Yeah. Well, and I love what you said earlier too, like it's easy to build on and it's easy to ebb and flow from it, but then we worked so hard to identify the triggers for you that you, one, know what to do,
Yeah.
and two, because you have this experience now, instead of turning on yourself and feeling like I'm broken, something's wrong with me,
Yeah.
you can zoom out and just say, okay, here are some factors that are playing a role that I haven't been as attentive to as I could be.
And I think like one of my favorite moments, I mean, it didn't feel like when I look back on my experience, something that was really critical was like we were trying different things and it wasn't working, right? And then you were like, we have to dial this back even more. Like, let's go to basics. Like, and you helped me not try to be doing everything because that's very much my personality. I try to do everything. I'm like, this is terrible. I need to fix all of it. Let's do all the things. And you were really good about reining me in and being like, nope, we're gonna start really small here. And sometimes that's what you need. And just like, look, I remember being in that moment. I was sitting in my parents' kitchen and I was just so devastated. I was crying to you, like sad, sad tears, not these happy tears. And like, like you just helped me like go through that really dark time and find what worked. Um, and just like kept me accountable, did little things with me to make it better so that we could keep adding on. Um, so yeah.
It's so it's so wonderful to see you and it's so beautiful to hear your reflections on the process and to see that this is still impactful even a year later. And it's really, even Alexandra, is a testament that you're showing up and doing this recording in luteal in the second week of your luteal
Yeah.
phase, which used to be the hardest time for you. Like, no, I'm going to do a
Yeah.
video recording about my experience this week.
I know.
I'm gonna,
It's a testament to it. Like it's just such a more I have such a more full life and it's so manageable now. It was just a game changer. Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I'm so
And
excited to hear this.
I tell everyone, like every time someone's like, oh, I'm like, is this related to your period? Like, are you struggling with this? And I'm like, you share information with your friends, and it's incredible how many people suffer and they don't have to.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
Yeah, we just think it's the norm when it's been our norm for so long. But Um, so many of us are changing our stories with this and saying enough is enough. And it's scary to take a risk. It's scary to hire a practitioner off of the internet that you've never met and be
Yeah,
like, okay, I'm going to try this. But sometimes it works. And really taking a holistic approach, taking a personalized approach, that one-to-one setting, I think is so powerful because we do develop a special type of relationship where it's all eyes on you, and we're really working together to help you make changes, which is very different than the directive approach of a Western medicine practitioner that's like, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it. There's no collaboration, and a lot of times the suggestions and the protocols that they're handing out, it just doesn't fit into people's lives as easily as sorting it all out together.
you you really feel listened during the like someone's listening to you for the first time because like I said, I've gone to so many doctors and they're just trying to slap something on you that fits like what they think should fit everyone, and they're not listening to the small things that seem to help, seem to not help. And I completely agree with what you said at first. Like it is a risk when you're like you see things on the internet, they sound too good to be true, and like you're worried. You're like, am I going to spend all this? Like, am I going to spend this money? And it's just some superficial program. No, it's like I mean, you've been through it, so like you can relate and you sympathize. Like you you can relate to you related to me so much, and I felt like I had someone who finally was listening to what I was going through, and the information was just so valuable in one spot, like easy to digest. You could pick it up, you could put it down. Like I got busy with stuff, and I would tell you honestly, I was like, I didn't get to do anything this week, but like you could still always go back to it. And actually not too long ago I was like, I want to revisit things, and like it's great to have that resource. I can't even tell you, like when I start having symptoms sometimes I go back to all right, like what vitamins did she say again? And I'll go back to it and I can incorporate them. I just thought it was an incredible program and totally worth it. I can't recommend it enough.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think something else that really was key for you in the process is the nutritional therapy aspect of things. So our physicians aren't dietitians, they're not nutritionists, and they're unaware of the mineral impacts that um, minerals have on our hormones. They probably don't even though they know about glucose and they're testing glucose, they don't really understand the impact that glucose dysregulation and blood sugar dysregulation has on hormones and moods. And so they're doing the best they can. They're overextended. They're doing what they're trained to do, but again, they're not really trained in depth on these little protocols that can make a big difference. It's just they're trained to prescribe a medication and give a diagnosis.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that the mineral and the nutritional therapy approaches that we used for you were big pieces of the puzzle.
It was a game changer. I still have my watch still goes off every day, like on the 3 hour mark, like, did you have a snack? I laugh. Sometimes people are like, oh, it's your medication reminder going off. I'm like, it's time for me to have a snack so I can keep myself just like cruising, you know what I mean? And not have these ebbs and flows in my mood. It's been just changing that even has like impacted. It's how everything works together. So yeah, it was
So
great.
cool. So I have one more question, but before I get there, I'm wondering, I dredged up your file. I'm wondering if you want to hear some of the quotes that you said from
Oh
way
God.
back then.
Sure. Let's do it.
So this you might cry. Okay, they're really awesome.
I'm already like anticipating. I'm putting the tissues even closer.
Okay, okay. I haven't felt this happy in over 2.5 years. I finally feel happy.
Yeah. Like I didn't realize like how much of a shell I had become of who I really was.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
and we talked about this so much, but there are more quotes here that kind of dig into that even more clearly. You said, if it feels nice not to have this looming over everything. You said, I have time now to focus on other things.
It went from like occupying so much of my mind, like it was always there. I was always not feeling right. It was always looming over everything. Like I just didn't feel like myself. And it had been like that for I can't like I didn't realize how long it had been like that, and like to feel like myself again after I haven't felt like that for I can't even tell you how long. Like and even having more like insight now, like more time away from when we met, like realizing how bad like how bad it was. I knew it was bad. It felt bad, but like and now how great I feel, it's night and day. So yeah.
Huge, a huge transformation. This one really hit me. This quote really hit me. You said, I'm so happy I didn't give up.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. And I felt like I have great friends. Like, I have access to, medicine. Like, I have a very great life. And I had, I couldn't enjoy any of it. And and no one could really understand. And no one, I just felt so unseen. And I felt so unseen by these I know they were trying their best, but I was just like, I'm at my wit's end. Like, and to like think how bad it was and how good it is now.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's so much to process. And we talked about that as you were kind of graduating out of the program. Like, it's not over. Like, there is going to be more healing that comes underneath all the work that we did as you start to process, because you can't know how sick you were until you feel better. And
Yeah,
that's a signpost of how far you have come. And
yeah.
also a lot of grief comes with that, because then you have to face like how bad it was and how different your life was previously. But I'm so glad you didn't give up, Alexandra, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy to hear that these changes have persisted in bringing more joy and pleasure into your life even a year later. It's such an inspiring story to those out there suffering that are feeling hopeless, just like we did, to hear that it can get better for them.
And 100% can get better. That's why it was so important to me to do this. And I just want people to have hope and to know that there is light through the darkness. It's so important to share our stories because too many feel unseen, and you need to be able to find these kind of resources so you can improve your life. It was a game changer. It was absolutely incredible. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for trusting me to guide you through this. I know, right? It's scary to start something new like this, and we didn't know what was going to come out of it, but I'm forever grateful that you let me be a part of your story and that things have changed so much for you. Now that you have this beautiful transformation and this big perspective on the PMDD experience, and you've already given people so much hope, but before we wrap up this call, I'm wondering if there's anything else you want to say, something that you would say to yourself, a year and a half ago before you started the program, or something you would say to someone who's in the place feeling really hopeless, like there's no way out, like we both know we have felt.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I tell people is like, you're not alone. like you're not alone. Like you feel so alone when you're going through it, but like you're not alone. So many people go through this, and it doesn't matter how like I think I would just always beat myself up. I'm like, I'm capable, I'm smart, like, I do all the things. And like when you're that type of person and like you still can't get past something, it just feels so defeating. And like you have to realize that you need to find the right help. And until you find the right help, it still feels like you're struggling. And when you find the right help, it's like such a weight has been lifted. It is a process. Like it's not like you read, 10 pages and you're like, it's a process, but like if you do the work and it's very manageable work, like it's very manageable, like it can completely change your life. And having a community, like having access to a community of people who are going through it is also really huge. I can't recommend doing this program enough. And like, there's hope. Like, do not give up. As dark as it gets, like, do not give up because it's like such a full life to live once you can manage it. And it's very manageable. Like I eat snacks and I take vitamins and I feel night and day. And like if you would have told me that was the answer, like right off, like if you would have told me that off, I'd be like, that's great. That's not it.
Mm.
It's little changes, very manageable things, but you need someone to help guide you through the process and find the connections. And I just can't recommend it enough. There is hope.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Alexandra. I know this is really going to be um, a beautiful resource and touch point for people as they're navigating their way forward. But like you said, it's so important to have those who have walked the path before you, even though it looks different for all of us, the drivers, the approaches that we take with every client are personalized because everybody's symptoms are kind of being driven by different lifestyle factors and diet factors, but to hear that it can get better, even just that message alone is such a powerful resource. I met with a client earlier in an introductory session, and in those sessions, I always ask, what are you hoping to get out of this session? She was like, I just want a little bit of hope, like any sliver of hope you can give me. And
Yeah.
so this is a beautiful sliver of hope, your story. So thank you so much for sharing.
No, thank you. Like, thank you so much. Happy to share.